Stand our ground, speak our mind, share our thoughts, worship you. Step outside, seek the truth, vote for rights, worship you. Change our ways, choose to give what we have, worship you. Think about the way we live, reality, then we'll see.
Welcome everybody to episode 12 of a Justice Seeking Church here at Shoreline Methodist Community. I'm Wayne Grucock, minister here at Shoreline. Our hope for this series is that each week our guests will help us to see justice from their perspectives, give us a different insight, another insight. Always with the hope that we will seek what is mine to do in response to the gospel message. This week, we're looking through the lens of Methodist young people, as I share in a conversation with Jamie and Reuben, two of our youth reps, who are on a residential at Cliff College. Reuben and Jamie, welcome to Shoreline. Fabulous that you've been brave and volunteered. How are you both doing?
Great.
Really
Yeah,
good, I think,
I'm bit tired.
Yeah.
But we're all doing good.
So just so everybody has some sort of idea what you're doing. So you're at Cliff College, which is up in the Peak District. But tell us a little bit about the gathering that you're at currently.
Yeah, you go.
So currently we're all gathered together because we're a new rep cohort technically. Some of us we've met before, some of us we haven't met before. So we're all just here training, worshipping, kind of looking at different things.
So this kind of yesterday and this morning has been very much information based about what it means to be about how we can get involved. We've talked a little bit about participation and what that means and how we can get people to participate. And later we're moving on to look at some of our social media stuff about how we can have an online presence, how we can hear the children and young people through online. And we've got loads of stuff planned for this evening and tomorrow. Yeah. That's basically what we're doing.
Yeah. Any sleep in the program?
Not really, no.
Not really, no.
And at least, I mean, for those of you that might not know, Cliff really is in the Peak District. So from what I can see in the background, at least you're not snowed in. As you might have been.
It's quite cold, actually.
I did arrive and there was still some snow built up. But
just a little bit. I think it's gone now. Yeah.
Nice. So the question that I asked all my guests, so I'd like to start there with you two. What does justice look like for you?
So I think justice to me looks probably slightly different to other people. Justice kind of looks like a little bit of hope. Something that everyone can do. Justice for me is something that everyone can do in their own little way. It doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be small. But I feel justice is very much trying to make the world a better and fairer place for everyone, regardless of your race, of your gender, and of your views, because I think everyone should be treated, no matter of who you are, kind of equally.
And also, I feel like justice doesn't have to be loud. Justice always starts with you individually. You might feel like you can't really do much to change anything, but really if you just speak out, whether that be a comment on a social media video or whether you actually physically go and talk to someone or maybe even shout it from the rooftops, justice always starts with one person being heard, and as well making sure that you're listening to other people and seeing where they're coming from as well.
Yeah, I mean, we asked the question, what is mine to do? Because it starts with me. It starts with you. I like that. especially as sometimes it can feel so overwhelming, can't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think sometimes you look at people and you look, oh, what can I do for justice? And you'll turn on the TV and you'll see climate activists chaining themselves to buildings, spraying buildings with orange powders and stuff to try and really make a difference. But actually, and that can seem really overwhelming. Oh, I could never do that. I don't have the willpower. I care so much about the environment, but I could never do that. But actually, it could be as simple as reading a little bit more information. Because actually, if you become yourself a little bit more educated, that's the first step to doing something to help become more justice seeking.
Yeah. 3 or 4 weeks ago, Annie Sharples, she was here talking about peace to us, and again, very similar to what you're saying there, Reuben. She feels peace starts with inner peace. Yeah, it's the way that she shapes herself, and then how that sort of trickles out of her. And I think that's sort of what you're saying, isn't it? It's the challenge to yourself that then it's how you push that out. And I like that. I mean, is there any injustice that is really sort of winding you up at the minute?
When I've spoken to young people, quite often they talk about poverty. And I get a lot of young people who are really concerned about poverty, especially over what has been the Christmas period, and people coming out of the Christmas period, because actually poverty doesn't just exist at Christmas. It can be amplified at Christmas sometimes, but actually people all the way through the year are struggling to feed themselves, having to use food banks. Students are having to use food banks, not just families as well.
And as well, we hear a lot about justice for young people just in general. Children and young people are often always overlooked, and I guess it's kind of our job to make sure that they know that they have a voice and make sure that they know that they are being listened to. We can do as much as we can, but I feel as though sometimes they're looking at what they're telling us and they're seeing it not being implicated, but that's not really, not that it's not our fault, but we're trying everything that we can to make sure that their voices are heard.
Yeah. And is that part of your sort of the social media conversation you said you've been having and had?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, we're hoping that social media will bring more attraction from the young people and hopefully get a little bit more interaction, so we can then use those interactions that we've managed to get from young people. From those interactions, we can hopefully then channel it into what can we do to improve the lives of young people.
And it also makes sure that they know that we exist and we know that they exist as well.
Yeah. You see, again, I'm an old man almost, compared certainly, but I always think, how do we get across the power of a social media like? Yeah, and again, you talked earlier about some of the little things. I truly believe, even if we're not brave enough to comment, but just by liking a post on social media sort of says, no, I'm aligning myself with this, or I'm really angry about this. This makes me really sad, or, to offer care, or that's where we can start. That truly is where we can start. So what does hope look like from your perspective?
Well, that's an interesting one. I think hope looks different to everyone. To me, hope is something that happens little by little. It's the small things that then kind of clump together. I think hope is the prospect of justice being served.
Okay.
And I think it's the little small things that then add together is what hope kind of looks like to me.
I feel that hope is the product of having faith in something small. And when you believe something, a lot of the time it's just like, oh, well, I thought this, and yes, I believe it, but nothing really is going to happen. But then a lot of the time when you fully believe in it and you say, okay, I'm going to start advocating for this, that's when hope starts to form and you start seeing a prospect of a better future, of a better tomorrow.
Yeah, nice. And actually sticking with it.
Yeah.
And having the confidence, and almost for me, that inner annoyance that, no, this does matter. That actually, if there's enough of us, we can change. I was challenged in a conversation with Inderjit Bogle, and he made a comment that said, we must work for the end of war, and I love that, but I really struggle with whether that can be. And I said something similar, and Inderjit, in this beautifully grace-filled but unmovable way, told me we have to believe in that.
Yeah, you have to have hope.
Yeah, and I think because sometimes it can feel a bit hopeless, and I think for me, it's, as an adult in conversation as wide as we can, that actually we have to stand for hope. The gospel stands for hope. So what can we do to stay strong and keep saying this? So another big question. Sorry to throw these massive questions, but in fairness, just take heart. I've done this to everybody. So where do you see God at work in this?
It's a difficult question. Sometimes it is hard to see the way that God is working, but I feel like he's working very behind the scenes, as in, yes, we're saying all of this stuff, but at the end of the day, we're trying to be spirit-led, and all of our actions, all of our words, even us trying to seek justice, it actually is something that comes from the Bible. And a lot of the stuff that we are doing, it's coming from the Bible and it's coming from the Word of God.
Yeah, I think very similar to Jamie. I tend to see God in the aftermath, after doing it. Might be playing some music. I wouldn't experience God in that moment, but afterwards I'd think back and go, actually no, God was there, God was with me. Or I've written something, or I've tried to make a stand against something and I was like, God, is God even there when I'm trying to advocate for young people? And then I look back and I go, no, God was with me then. I might have not realized it at the moment, but it's always afterwards I can always go, no, God was there with me.
It's also like there's this analogy of when you're walking along a beach, you feel like you're walking by yourself, but actually when you look back and you look next to you, you've seen the footsteps in the sand that are walking alongside yours.
Yeah. And actually, I would say I felt God and the Spirit and hope at 3 Generate. I haven't been to 3 Generate. I am so old that I'm of the generation of London Weekend, which was sort of like half a century ago. But actually, for me, that gathering of the young people of Methodism, I think 1,700 young people in one space for a whole weekend, having fun together, worshipping together, learning together, that gave me, and again, looking back, you go, no, God was there. Yeah. I mean, what was 3 Generate like for you two this year?
I think it was a very different experience because for both Jamie and I, it was our first year being reps. So it's slightly different for us. But I think I remember it being very hopeful, kind of linking back to that, what is hope? I remember coming out of it going, actually, it's really interesting. It gives me so much hope that so many young people want to see justice in the world, that actually people do care about the environment, and that people want to do so much good in the world.
And 3Gen, I love 3Gen so much. And I've said this even before like becoming a rep, because you go and there are times where, yes, you are having fun. Maybe you're in the tech hub, you're playing on the VR, maybe you're just, I don't know, in the park looking at some of the stuff that the reps are doing. But you've got moments where maybe you go over to the arena and you do some worship and you actually feel the presence of God in that place. And then you come out of there and you start realizing, actually, no, the presence of God is everywhere. It's not just a feeling. It's actually something that's with me all the time, and it's something that lives inside of me.
Yeah. And you belong. It's not the isolation of just you. That's I think that was one of the big powerful visuals for me. Is, you know, young people sometimes can be the only one in their church, or they might just be a very small group. But actually, no, on that weekend there was 1,700. We belong. So as you said, it might start with you, but actually there's a whole posse, there's a pack, there's a whatever collective we want to use. Yeah. And God is there and is challenging us, both challenging, I believe, the young people, and the young people challenging the whole of the church.
It is the beauty of 3Generate, where you can see, actually, I'm not alone in this life. I'm not alone in these views. And as well, the amount of different things that you can get involved in with 3Generate, whether you're really passionate about writing those letters to your MP, or whether you're more passionate about experiencing God through tech, there's always something for you, and that you will always find like-minded people, or people you could have really good or even challenging discussions with.
And you also, even if you go to 3Generate, maybe you're the only person that's gone this time, you kind of come home with a community of people that you didn't even know the first time. So, for example, I first became a rep because I saw the reps at 3Generate in 2022. When I first saw the reps at 3Generate, and it made me really want to do it, but I wasn't old enough yet. But then I came home and I knew so many more people. And then even being a rep now, I've met so many people who came by themselves and have actually been like, no, well, we're here to be a friendly face. And then I've seen them make other friendship groups and them all starting to communicate with each other, especially people within my church. They're even still in contact with some of the people that they met at 3Generate.
Yeah. And it's again, you see, it's then the unpacking of that, isn't it? Because if God's talking to you and sort of encouraging you in an element of justice, as your family grows, you will influence them. You'll have discussions. You'll be influenced by them. And so again, that's then about, for me, that's about momentum, and that is how we change the world. Yeah. Definitely. So I'm going to say thank you to both of you. Thank you for being brave enough to come in and chat with me. And yeah, I've said this every week, but I genuinely want to say thank you. Thank you for helping us to give us just that sort of different perspective, because we need to be listening. We need to be listening widely, because God, I believe, speaks in many, many, many ways. So thank you both. Next week will actually be our last week, and Ian Rutherford is going to be coming in speaking to us about what it means to belong to Citizens UK. So God bless everybody.